from where should we take it from? Amrulo. That's what we're up to from last night. Amrulo, which is line 7 or 8, right? Amrulo. Line 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 8 line 8. Amrulo. Now Rabbi Lezer had said, we had learned yesterday, Rabbi Lezer said, you're allowed to take truma from tar on tameh. And we said that Rabbi Lezer said you're allowed to take truma from tar stuff on tameh stuff, or tar, even where there is moisture. Rabbi Lezer had said yesterday, Rabbi Eloi said in the name of Rabbi Lezer, that's even where there's moisture. And he gave a case. What's a case where you could do that? The case he gave was a case where you had a mound of olives, which are ready in the press, and some of them, and they're all tameh, and you want to take truma off all these tameh olives, so you bring a funnel, which you put many enough other olives to make up your truma. You attach the funnel at the mouth of which is one olive to the mound of olives in the press. You say let the olives in the funnel be the truma, and only one of those olives becomes tameh, the one which is at the bottom in the mouth of the funnel. The rest of them remain tar, and this way you're taking truma from tar off of tameh. Okay. So that's what Rabbi Law had suggested, according to Rabbi Eliezer. Amrulo, so the Chachamim said to Rabbi Law, Ein lecha kori lach elo yain v'shemen bilvad. That's not called moist. Moist is not called where it's olives, which have a little bit of moisture on them, but rather moist is called where it's actually fully beverageized, such as where it's oil or where it's wine. So it must be, if you have a tradition in Rabbi Lezer allowed taking truma from tar and tameh, even where it's moist, that must mean even where it's fully wine or fully oil. What kind of case are we talking about? Gas achas. You have one large wine storage area, l'shnei boros, which then was separated into two smaller wells, which again held wine. Shtei gitos. Or you had two of the larger areas. Well, I don't know if gas is larger. I shouldn't really say that.
Here, I don't know if it's the same. It's Kora Achas.
No, that's... Oh, I see. Okay, fine. Yeah, that's later in this Gemara. Okay, first, because that's about by olive oil. Okay, so first he says that the line he has here is referring to wine. The gas is where they press the wine, and the bar is where they store the wine. So first he says gas achatz l'shtei boros, one wine press into two storage areas, or shtei gitos, two wine presses lebor echad, to one well, to one storage area, and now your girsa kora achas, one oil press l'shnei boros, to two storage areas, or shtei koros, two presses lebor echad, to one storage area. Now says more. What are you talking about? Let's take stock here. Nicha gas achas l'shtei boros. I understand the case where it's one wine press, one going into two boros, and then one bor becomes tameh. You can take the truma from the other bor, which remains tar, because they once were together. The fact that in the press they were together is sufficient now to take truma from one off the other, right? That's good enough. Okay? No connection between the boros. As long as they're once together. They're adjacent to each other. But that's sufficient. But ask the Gemara, what in this scenario where you're taking from two different wine presses which spilled into one bor, I don't understand how you can take now from tar and tameh. They're all tameh. Everything's tameh together. They all spilled into the same well. If part of it's tameh, it's all tameh. What kind of scenario are you describing to me? Where's the tar stuff that you're taking off from that truma, right? When two wine presses spill into one well, if part of it becomes tameh, the whole thing becomes tameh. Because when the wine mixes together, it all becomes tameh. So Rabbi Hila b'Shem Rabbi Lezer said so about the following case. He about a case. He had in mind to bring them together, but then when one of the wine presses or one of the olive presses became tameh, he said, "Whoa! I'm not putting them together now because that's going to be Matame all the stuff. But nonetheless, since he had in mind to bring them together, that fulfills the parameter which Rabbanan decreed that you have to take Truma Mina Mukaf for things which are combined somehow. The Havamina he had to put them both together, even though it never came to fruition, because had it come to fruition, it would have been disastrous, because the whole thing would have become Tameh. That is sufficient to make it Mina Mukaf. Okay? That makes it. Rabbi Hila B'Sheila says, Tipoter, explain it, Shabaliba Lasos and Tvisachas. He had in mind to make it one unit. V'nima Achazon Shtei Tvisos, but once he saw that one of them became Tameh, he retained their separateness, but nonetheless, the thought is enough to make it what we call in Hebrew Mina Mukaf, that is considered to be one combined area, or one combined mixed unit. That's a tremendous leap of right. Tremendous leap, tremendous loophole, you name it, it's big. Okay? I'm Rabbi Yossi, loophole, you can drive a truck. I'm Rabbi Yossi Barbun, Chata the Tamer, that's true, Kshanitma Mishashil and Mishikle. He places a limit on it. It's only true when it becomes Tameh after you remove the not the sediment, but rather the floating gunk, floating scum. The scum on top of the wine, right? So when the time after you remove the scum, it was still possible to combine the two, and he had the thought to combine the two then, so that's considered to be a quasi-realistic thought, right? Because only then there was a moment they were suitable to take truma b'tara, because after the scum is taken off, that's already a moment suitable for tara, for truma. But it became tameh prior to your removing the scum, right? Achlo shila shlokim means the removal of the scum process called shilo kipa. So lo b'da. So in that case, in that case, you can't say that they were suitable to combine together because they were tameh already prior to their being suitable to take truma off, and therefore we say in that case there's no way you can take truma from the Torah off the tameh. Okay, says Rabbi Tavi. Do you have Rabbi Tavi?
Yeah.
Rabbi what?
Shem Rabbi Yoshia.
Yeah, Rabbi Tavi and Rabbi Yoshia Bar Yana I have. Different gears than you. Rabbi Tavi, Rabbi Yoshia Bar Yana said, Halachic Rabbi Eliezer. Rabbi Yitzchak Bar Nachman on B'Shem Rabbi Yoshia said, Halachic Rabbi Eliezer. Rabbi Huna, I have in Rabbi Chanina, said, Ain't Halachic Rabbi Eliezer. The Halach is not like Rabbi Eliezer. Rabbi Eliezer is one who said he can take Trum from Torah and Tomei. Rabbanan are the ones who argue. Rabbi Yossi Barbun, Rabbi Yehuda ben Shem Shmuel, both said Ein Halachic Rabbi Eliezer. As Uvta Kumi Rabbi Ami, Maisel like this came from Rabbi Ami. Lahori didn't want to pass it. Omar he said, train Kilakabo training him. It's 2 against 2. Run unit on base now. It's 2 against 2. Train Kilakabo training him. It's 2 against 2. Armor late, so they said, wait a minute. So what? For Rav Nachman Yitzchak Koreh. Rav Yitzchak ben Nachman Oyer. Rav Yitzchak ben Nachman Paskin Halacha L'Maisa like Rabbi Eliezer. Afilu Kain, nonetheless, Rabbi Yami said, Afilu Kain Lori, Rabbi Yami was too afraid to Paskin. He didn't take on himself Paskin this Shiloh. Okay, let's go back to the Mishnah. Halacha, back to the beginning, Mishnah beginning of the Halacha. We are now at the first dot. See, I brought my Gemara tonight so I can really figure it out myself. By the way, the little Zion is. You see that? Little Zion? Which is 3, 6, yeah, page 16, Chesam base, 3, 6, 8 lines down the Mishnah. Ain't Tamei al Torah. One is now to take Truma from Tamei al Torah. This is the reverse case. You're now to take Truma from Tamei al Torah. V'im Torah, if you did it, Shoigeg, unintentionally, Trumaso Truma. We let you get away with it. Mason, if you did it intentionally, Lo Savalo Klum, forget it. Start from scratch. V'chein Ben Levi Shelo Meiser Tevel. A Ben Levi who had, of course, he got Meiser already from the Yisrael, and he needs to take Trumas Meiser on it. V'yamavish Volech was taking Trumas Meiser of it, and then it became Tameh. Shogi, if he did it unintentionally, Masha also Asli. And it's okay. Mason, if he did it intentionally, bad news. Lo Savalo Klum, it's invalid altogether. Rabbi says, if he knew to begin with that it was Tameh, Avo Pishu Shogi, even though later on he forgot and inadvertently took the Trumas Meiser off of it, which is Tameh, Lo asav lo klum. It's not valid. Okay, so even though at the time he was doing it, was forgetful, since when he started out he was before and he had been aware, in that case also we invalidate his act of taking the Trumas Meiser.
It's an interesting phrase, lo asav lo klum. Does that have any significance?
Yeah, it seems like it's not Truma v'yachzor v'yitrum. That's what's coming to preclude. It's not double Truma. It's rendered meaningless. Rabbanan just took away the entire null and void altogether. Okay, let's go back to the Gemara. We're on the second line of Yudah and base. Talmud Tzedina, we learned over there. Now, this is a very weird Gemara. Everybody's got difficulty with this. You'll see why in a minute. It's not difficult shot. It's just quite difficult. Well, you'll see. Talmud Tzedina, we learned over there. Hatomei mesabor. Somebody takes truma off of a well of wine. Now, the problem is like this. When you take truma off a well of wine, how do you take truma? Yeah, how do you take it out? Or how do you take the truma? A ladle. Now, if you have a ladle full of truma, what is very likely to happen is you're taking the ladle out of the well? Drop. Some will drop. Even one drop can make it meduma, right? I mean, it's what you have to have 200 times in order to 100 times in order to cancel meduma, right? So a few drops, right? But problem is that the ladle can drop in. The bucket's really not a ladle; it's a bucket, right? The bucket can drop in, or parts of the bucket can drop in. So how do you prevent that from happening? Let's say your grip slips, right? So how do you prevent that from happening? So that's what Gemara is discussing here. You're taking truma off.
So he says that what you set aside for truma all of a sudden falls back into the rest of the wine, mixed in with everything else. And it's not bottle.
Not bottle. Unless it has 100 to 1.
You would think.
You would think what?
There is
Lav dafka, because we know that truma is supposed to be 2%. Right? So maybe if you took the whole thing off at once, you certainly would not be bottle. And if you're taking trumas meiser, it's 1/10, right? So it's very likely that something bad will happen. Okay? So therefore we have the following escape mechanism. Somebody takes with truma off his well of wine. Varme says, truma, yes, this bucket should be truma. Amanas, on the condition, shalom, that it should come up in peace. That means, what do you have in mind? Shalom min hashever, peace from breakage. Shalom min hashvicha, peace from spilling. Avo, how? What? Right, the same idea. Yeah. Avo, maybe that too. Avo min atuma. But what if, as he's bringing it up, a dead mouse falls into the bucket? So then, did you have that in mind also? In that case, truma is reversed. Truma is reversed. Says more no. Avo min atuma. Shimon says he even had in mind that as he's raising the bucket, it should not become tummy, and if he becomes tummy, then his truma is null and void. Not by all tumah does he have in mind, not by dead rodents falling into the wine. However, what tumah do you have in mind? Relatively minor one. The tumah tful yom masti. So you had in mind if a tful yom touches the truma on its way up, then it'll be reversed. Why? Because Rabbi Ila, right, I have in mind a tful yom. Somebody just went to the mikveh today, but has not yet undergone a nightfall, because Rabbi Ila shekain tful yom between menagitos. Since the wine presses are all full of tevel, and tevel does not become tummy when it comes to contact with a tful yom. Right? It has to be somebody who's mamish tummy to be metame tevel, not somebody who's just a tful yom. So therefore, tful yom did not refrain from walking among the wine presses. So there, Rabbi Ila say, again, because when they touch tevel, doesn't make it tummy. So therefore, he's afraid. Yes, but now that I'm taking truma, perhaps the tful yom will touch it. So therefore, he had in mind, according to Rabbi Shimon, that a tful yom should not touch it as well. That was part and parcel of his condition, that it'd be sholem min tful yom. Okay? But he had not in mind any other tumah, because any other tumah is a rarity. Now, Tanya Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Yehuda said, when does he, now it's a question, what is Rabbi Yehuda saying this by Medvar Murim? This is the big issue here. Does it mean when does the person make this t'nai? Or according to the Rash Sileo, does it mean when Beis Din makes the t'nai? Because Beis Din makes the t'nai for an individual in order to prevent him from having all this anguish. Or you had a third shot, which I was thinking of, was that it's talking about when does he have stam das? In other words, without intent, we assume that by definition he had this snai in mind. Okay, that's what Rabbi Yehuda is coming to qualify. So Rabbi Yehuda is coming to qualify when a person makes a condition, when Beis Din makes a condition for him, or when he, by default, has this condition, imposed. Yeah.
That's what I was going to say. Doesn't stam das necessarily mean that Beis Din stam?
No, it could be that the collective attitude, or attitude is the wrong word, the collective mindset of Am Yisrael will dictate that he too has this mindset. Remember, like we said in the morning daf yomi, if people don't have in mind to be motzi and kiddush, but you're all standing around a table, then the default assumption is that you're motzi. That works. Okay, so that'd be the same type of idea here. The collective mindset of the Jewish people works for this. Okay. When is this true? When does a person need this condition? By Truma Gedola. Because by Truma Gedola, he's got to do it min hamukaf. Meaning that he has to pronounce the Truma Gedola while it's still in the bore. Why? Because Truma Gedola has to be taken off in the same location as the tevel. But by Trumas Meiser, I feel shar called Varim Shalom Haim. With everything, what do we care? Let him make it designate Trumas Meiser only after it rises out of the bore. So in that case, either he doesn't make the condition, he just waits to make the Trumas Meiser later on. Beis Din doesn't make the condition for him, but rather says it only becomes Trumas Meiser later on. His stam das is that it should only become Trumas Meiser later on. Again, because Trumas Meiser is allowed to be tight when it's Shalom in Amukaf, even outside the bore. So only Truma that's got to become Truma inside the bore, and that's why he makes it Tanai in that case. Hoya, now, okay, that was easy. Now what about this case? This is the complex case. Hoya Tongim Trumas Meiser Kachas. He's taking out of this well both Truma and Trumas Meiser simultaneously, the same time. Now this is a different problem. It's got to become Truma in the well, but it doesn't have to become Trumas Meiser in the well. So l'chayr you would say that, okay, so let the condition apply to the Truma part and not the Trumas Meiser part. But then there's a problem. Because then if the stuff spills out on the way up, so the Truma is rendered retroactively meaningless. Yet the Trumas Meiser is not cancelled when it gets to the rim, right? So what you're going to be doing in this case is transgressing an Avera of taking up Trumas Meiser before Truma. So in this case, what do we say about your condition? Do we say the condition is still in effect, even though it'll lead to this Avera of taking Trumas Meiser up before Truma? Or do I say in this case, you don't want your condition? And you're willing to run the risk of having your entire well become mixed together with Truma and not do this conditionally in order precisely to avoid the problem of taking off Trumas Meiser before Truma. What is the mindset? What is the takonas based in? What should you do in this case? Okay, that's the Gemara's question. Okay? Oh, that's the issue. That's the issue. Okay? Player Teirim Truma Trumas Meiser Gedachas. Ain't a shalom. It's not peace, and therefore ain't a shalom means the condition applies. That's down a comma. Yehuda Berebi Omer. Yehuda Berebi says, in this case, condition does not apply. Why? It's a machlokas. Lo also al daito shalzel lavro divrei Torah, because he does not want to transgress the Torah prohibition of lahaktim trumas meiser letruma gedola, to take of trumas meiser before truma gedola, which the Kavanaki brings down as an iser stated in Shmos Chav Kav Ches Mlios Chav Dimacha Lo Sacher, meaning you should not change the order of trumos. Mostly Rabbi Memos asked the kasha on this whole issue of the condition. 14, then we learn Ein Tomin Minat Tomei Ala Tor. You can't take truma from Tomei Ala Tor. Hagatzmicha. Let's imagine. Shatocha. He did it. Why does the Mishnah say, also died to Shazel, Lavro Divrei Torah? Why does the Mishnah say, let his action be reversed? Because he would not have wanted to transgress the Torah prohibition of taking from Tomei Al Tor. Our Mishnah says, B'shogig, it works. Why do you say that? Let's say like over here, that just like this guy doesn't want to have the ramification of Trumas Meiser preceding Truma, so too over in our Mishnah, let's say that the guy doesn't want to transgress the prohibition of taking of Tomei from Tomei and Torah. Rabbi said no. It is Nissa the Rabbana. Yeah, but the Gemara comes up. There is Nissa the rights involved, which the Gemara is going to come up. I know, but look what the Gemara does. Rabbi Abba, Imat Omer Kain. No, that's not comparable. Because if you say that Nimtzeis Mavricho Min Akalo Machdiso Lechamura, the reason why the guy here does not want to the reason why here we the reason you don't want to reverse it over there. In our case, right? In our case, they want to reverse it. Why? Because what happens to reverse it? So it's not truma. Oh, well, then what happens if potentially he eats it later on? Let's say the Kohen eats it, right? So it's what we say. We reversed the. You took to truma tameo off on stuff which is Torah. Let's render that invalid because law also taito shosei lavro divrei Torah. So now the Kohen gets it. The Kohen eats it. What's the Kohen chayev? He ate tevel. What's he chayev? Kares. He dies for it, right? So it's bad to reverse it. Because what's the ramification? We don't reverse it. Tevel, imatoy merken. Let's see it inside again. We're on Yud Alf and Alf now. Imatoy merken. If you say that, anim tzeis maricho min akal machtis alchur, you're going to take him out of the lighter isser and bring him to the more severe isser. Tevel ba'avon bisa. If he eats tevel, he gets zapped. The tar shachas tummy. If he only eats tummy truma, it's dishke ferlach. It's only nasei to specifically eat cooked tar, not to eat tummy. So therefore, in our case, he doesn't want it reversed. Bear in mind. So now, Rabbi Yehuda will say like that. In that case, in the case where he's taking the stuff out of the well, trumas meiser truma together, he doesn't want the truma. He doesn't want to make the kedusha on the truma. Why? Because if he makes a condition on the truma, so what's going to happen is that he's going to be taking trumas meiser off before truma. So therefore, he's willing to undergo the risk of making all of his wine meduma and not to transgress the prohibition of taking trumas meiser off before truma. In our case, however, we don't say the similar concept. In our case, there's going to be a negative ramification if we say that he doesn't want to transgress the Torah, the rabbinic prohibition of taking tummy off of Torah. Why? Because if we say that and we reverse the process in order to make sure that the tummy does not take effect, the tummy truma does not take effect. So when the Kohen gets the stuff, whatever he's getting, or for that matter, this is from himself. Whatever he's going to eat from the crop, it's going to be tevel. It's going to be chiv kares. If we don't reverse the process, so the worst thing that can happen is that the Kohen will eat truma tmeya. That's bad, but not terrible. There's only mitzvah to say to avoid eating truma tmeya. It's certainly not a kares. Okay? Says the Gemara further. Tani b'shem Rabbi Yossi. We learned the name of Rabbi Yossi. Im Torah min atami al ator. If you took truma from tummy and tor, bein b'shoy, bein b'mezid, whether it was intentional or unintentional, you know what? Masha also asi, but the evidence okay. So I argues in our Mishnah. Our Mishnah said b'mezid it doesn't work. Rabbi Yossi is very lenient. Okay, now I have a head which you don't have probably. You don't. Rabbi Yehuda Amar B'chuli. Going Rabbi Yehuda in our Mishnah. Rabbi Yehuda said that if you knew that it was tamei, and then you forgot, and you took truma from the tummy and the tar, we fine you too. So now Rabbi Pinchas asks a logical question. Rabbi Pinchas bought come Rabbi Yossi. Rabbi Pinchas has for Rabbi Yossi. Ad Kedun, until now we've been speaking about Kasover Ben Shein Torim. He knew they were tamei and then forgot and thought they were tar. What about Hayadei Shein Tmeim? He knew they were tamei to begin with. But Besava Shemutar Lito Min Tamei Tar. But it's on the mistaken impression it could be Torim from Tamei Tar, which is called in our lingo in the Bavli Omer Mutar. He doesn't realize that there's an issue to take truma from Tamei and Tar. What about in that case? Do I say Rabbi Yehuda finds it nonetheless because he knew the stuff was Tamei, or do I say Rabbi Yehuda doesn't find it because he thought that it was okay to take from Tamei and Tar? So what would Rabbi Yehuda say in this case? Amar lo, Satzer and Pinchas asked Rabbi Yossi. Rabbi Yossi said, Amar lo, you're asking a good kasha. It's good. Rabbi Savar, Rabbi Yehuda. This is, Rabbi holds like Rabbi Yehuda, that's why he brought his words in the Mishnah. And that's why it's important for us to ask kashas as to what Rabbi Yehuda, the parameters of Rabbi Yehuda's sheet are. But Rabbi Yossi, because according to Rabbi Yossi, it makes no difference. He adah, because according to Rabbi Yossi, he never finds. Not shoygig, not mazing, not anything, he never finds. So there's no question. Right? What you're trying to ask, under what parameters Rabbi Yehuda holds there's a fine. Is it only where he knew to begin, he knew where he didn't is it specifically where he knew to begin with it was tummy and did it anyway? Was specifically where he knew to begin with that was tummy, then forgot and thought it was tar? Or is it even a case where he knew it was tummy but thought it was mutter to take truma tmeo off tar? That's all questions according to Rabbi Yehuda. According to Rabbi Yossi, there's no question to talk about. Because according to Rabbi Yossi, there's never any knas. He doesn't say. He says, makes no difference. But you're asking, your question is the only question according to Rabbi Yehuda. But it's good that you're asking questions according to Rabbi Yehuda, because we, obviously, since Rabbi Yehuda and us, he brought down Rabbi Yehuda in the Mishnah, so therefore it's an important approach to clarify. Nonetheless, after he finished praising him, he didn't answer his question. Which we still don't know, according to Rabbi Yehuda, if he's an oimer mutter. If he knew it was Tomei, but if it was mutter to take from Tomei and Torah, we don't know if Rabbi Yehuda was, we don't know if Rabbi Yehuda would be guided in such a case or not. Okay, let's go back to the Mishnah one more time. Back to Chesam and Beis. The second wide line. Hamat bil kelim b'Shabbos. See that? Hamat bil kelim b'Shabbos. Now this is a little bit. We're for the rest of the evening going to have a little bit of a diversion away from Truma. Maybe we'll get back to Truma later. But anyway, Hamat bil kelim b'Shabbos. You toivel. We're going to go to the kelim mikvah and you toivel a keli on Shabbos. Put in the mikvah. B'shoigig. If you did it unintentionally, shtamish b'hem, you can use them on Shabbos. If you did it intentionally, you can't use it on that day. Hamaiser, if you take tithe or mevashel, you cook on Shabbos. B'shoigig yechol, if you did it unintentionally, you can eat that day. But mezi, if you did it intentionally, you can't eat it that day. Whatever you fixed up. Hanotei b'Shabbos, if you plant it on Shabbos, b'shoigig unintentionally, you can keep the plant. But mezi, if you did it intentionally, you have to uproot the plant. Which if you did it on Shemitah, Ben b'shoyim ben mezi diakor. Regardless if you did it intentionally or unintentionally, you gotta uproot the plant. Okay, let's go back to the Daf Yudalef Amud Aleph. We are now in the first wide line. Masnisa b'kelim g'dolim. Our Mishnah is talking about by large vessels. There, you can't. There's no way to toivel them on Shabbos. But by small vessels, I got a loophole for you. Aval b'kelim k'tanim. Mari Malaim, you can do a loophole. Harama is, legal loophole. What do? You stick them in the water, and then you drink from them as you pick them up. And you say, me? I had a mind to toivel this? No! What did I have a mind to do? To use it to drink. Yeah, to drink. Yeah. Well, the good old days, the mikvahs were rivers and stuff, right? Lakes. Yeah. So it says, I didn't have in mind to toivel, I had in mind to drink. That works. So it's innocent the Rabbanan to toivel stuff in Shabbos, because it looks like you're fixing, so where you can use an excuse, Rabbanan allowed you to get away with it. Okay? The Tana Rabbi Yisrael said, the law taught this. A person can take a vessel which is tamei, fill it up from the well, umarim alav, and pretend that he's drinking from it, umadpila, and toivel it. The tani can, and we learned another type of loophole. Nafal to toch bar, whoops, your bucket happened to fall by coincidence into the well, which is a mikveh. Nafal keil toch bar, or any other vessel fell into the bar. Marim alav, you could say, well, Marim alav, well, you don't have the words Marim alav madbila, right? It's the word Marim, right? You do that? Okay, so that case also Lupo say, what? I didn't mean to toilet. It fell in. It's not my fault. So we pick it up and it's okay. Okay, train Amaroi, two Amaroi. Chad Amar became Shnei Machlokas. Well, what we're talking about? Chad Amar became Shimu Avatumats, even where the Kalim are Tomei Doraisa. They were touched by a dead rodent or whatever, which makes them Tomei Doraisa, right? They came in contact with a mace, whatever the case may be. So even then you can do this loophole. The Charina Amar, now when you're Alpha on the base, the other one said, nah. He said, became Shimu Vladatuma. Only Kalim which became Tomei by Vladatum, which was Tumah the Rabbanan. In other words, if a Rishon and Tumah touched, if they were touched by mashkin, in other words, a Rishon or Shein and Tumah touched mashkin, liquids, which in turn touch the keli, which is the tumah the rabbanan, because we're guys in all mashkim that they're metame kelim. We learn metame only the outside of the kelim, not necessarily the inside. The whole bit, but that's all tumah the rabbanan. So I came shimu v'vlada tuma, which is only the rabbanan by midor rice. You can't use this loophole. Meisiv anamar v'vlada tuma is the one who said so by the rabbanan. As l'man damar b'avatum, the one who said it's the raisa. How can you say it's him by the raisa? Hi, that I feel b'chol ton arev shemesh. It's not completely Torah then, because you have to wait till nightfall. Because the type of tum which is dorai, so requires harev shemesh. I guess the sheretz can't do this, because I guess the sheretz can't be matami akeli. You can. So why do you have to wait till nightfall? Too much sheretz doesn't require. Too much sheretz doesn't require nightfall. Only too much carry and stuff like that requires nightfall. You're right, it is talking about sheretz. Kavanaki says so explicitly. But I don't think that it needs to. I don't know. Well, that was his kasha. It requires night for Harav Shemesh. That's my recollection.
That's my Mishnayos in the morning.
So the rest of my recollection, sheretz does not require Harav Shemesh. All right.
That was the guy.
So again, he asked him, "I feel b'chol torah Harav Shemesh. Should I have to wait till nightfall?" Ramalesi said no. But wrote to Lishtamish Rem Chulim B'Tarah. Talking about a case where he doesn't want to use it for truma. You only need to wait till nightfall, like we learned at the beginning of brachos, right? Where Kohanim Yichosim Lecho B'Trumosa. To eat truma, you need to wait for nightfall. But for Chulim B'Tarah, you don't need nightfall. So that's what we're talking about over here. Okay, another type of harama. Once we're on the topic of the harama, Rabbi Yirmiyah and Rabbi Zira, B'Shem Rabbi Chia Barav, so B'Shem Rabbi Chia Barashi both said, you're not allowed to wash your floor on Shabbos. Now, in the old days, we're talking about in the old days when the floor was sand, and if you did it, you might be chayav chatas because it's like you're filling in holes, which is a tolad of chofer or choresh, I forget which one. So Rabbanan asks you to wash your floor, to dampen your floor on Shabbos. However, a woman who's smart, isha pikachas midicha koskan, she washes a cup in this corner, karakan. Hey, I don't know if you have all these words there, but you get the idea. A plate over there, here, tamchui kan, a pot over there. And just by coincidence, her whole house is washed on Shabbos. Okay? Wonderful little coincidence. Okay, weiter. Hamavashal b'Shabbos. You don't have the header. Okay. Rabbi Shmuel b'Shem Rabbi Yavo. B'Shogeg b'Isser v'Meisid b'Isser. Now, this is a very important sugya we're going to learn here, which parallels the Bavli sugya in Masechta Shabbos. First of all, he says, we're talking right off the bat, where you did this on Shabbos, which means it's a raisa. You put the pot on the fire on Shabbos, not where you put the pot on the fire right before Shabbos, which is Nisa D'Rabbanan. If you put a pot on the fire right before Shabbos, right, not a blech, on the fire, it's Nisa D'Rabbanan, because it's going to cook on Shabbos, right? Except, there's several heterim, if it's mamish raw right before Shabbos, or it's already cooked cold tzarko, right? There are various different heterim, but without the heterim, you put a pot on the fire right before Shabbos, it's an Issa D'Rabbanan. We're not talking about that in our Mishnah. He says, talking about B'shoikeg B'itzer Mezid B'itzer. Both the Shogeg Mezid in our Mishnah are talking about where your mamish put a pot of food on the Shabbos on the fire. The Raisa. Rabbi Yosef said, Masisa Amar Keren. Our Mishnah indicates that. So, because it draws a connection between HaMaiser Mevashel B'Shabbos, right? Now, Meiser B'Shabbos, is there any Issa D'Rabbanan of Meisering right before Shabbos? Of course not. Because it doesn't, the whole point of putting a pot on the fire on Shabbos, be right before Shabbos, is because it continues on Shabbos to cook. But the Meiser right before Shabbos, Gesund to hate, right? So therefore, clearly, if a parallel is being drawn between Meiser and Mevashel, it's talking about where both these deeds are happening on Shabbos proper. And that's why it's a Doraisa. Okay? HaMeiser Mevashel B'Shabbos, B'Shoigig Yochel, if you did it unintentionally, you can eat it. The Mezel Yochel, if you did it intentionally, you cannot eat it. B'Shogig B'Isser Mezel B'Isser, clearly it's talking about where the Isser, whether the Shogig or a Mezel was done on Shabbos proper. Okay? Tanya, we learned. HaMevashel B'Shabbos. We're in the third to last line on Yud Alpha and Beis. This is Zuger. Tanya HaMevashel B'Shabbos. Somebody who cooks on Shabbos. B'Shogeg, if it's unintentional, Yochel Motzei Shabbos, Kidem Motzei Shabbos. Mezid, Mezid, if he did it intentionally, Lo Yochel Lomis. He himself cannot eat ever. Okay? So you don't have the word Olomis. I skipped. It's my fault. Sorry, I skipped. Try and look at two Gemaras at one time. Time Vashav B'Shabbos B'Shogeg. Let me go back. Vashav B'Shabbos is Shogeg Yochad, and Shogeg he can eat it immediately. B'Mezid Lo Yochal. B'Mezid he can't eat it until Motzei Shabbos. Right? Neither he nor others can eat it until Motzei Shabbos. Divrei Meir. That's right, Meir Shita. Rabbi Yehuda Meir B'Shogeg Yochal Motzei Shabbos. If he did it unintentionally, then the Nobi Kita Motzei Shabbos. Not him, not anybody else. By Mezid he himself cannot eat ever, but others can eat on Motzei Shabbos. Rabbi Yochanan Salon Omar B'Shogeg Yochal Motzei Shabbos Lacher V'Lo Lo. On Shogeg he can eat Motzei Shabbos, others and not him. Okay, he can eat. Others can eat Motzei Shabbos, and not him. Now. There's a mix-up here in the Gemara. That's why I brought my Gemara here. Turn here. Oh, wait a minute. Well, there is no mix-up. There's a mix-up in my Gemara. Yeah. No, but he has extra lines here. Just a minute. No, it's no extra lines. He just has a typo here on the side. Never mind. Rabbi Yochanan Shogi Yochel Motzei Shabbos. Shogi you can eat Motzei Shabbos. Lacherim v'lo lo, but only others, not him. B'mezid lo yochel lomis. If he did it b'mezid, nobody can eat. Lo lo v'lo lacherim, not him and not anybody else. Rabbi Yochanan holds that anything produced on Shabbos is by definition also, right? No matter Shogi Mezid, you can only eat a Motzei Shabbos, and even that is only if you did Shogi, and if you did a Mezid. The Gemara probably in Shabbos says that he holds as a special din Ma Shabbos Kodesh Af Ma'aseh Kodesh, meaning anything produced in Shabbos. But Mezid is also forever and ever for anybody and everybody. So it's not a knas; it's a doraisa prohibition. Okay, but that's only b'mezid, not b'shogeg. Okay, is that clear? So we have three shittas. Rav Meir, I'm going to go over them again. Rav Meir holds b'shogeg you can eat immediately. B'mezid you can eat Motzei Shabbos, and there's no distinction between you and anybody else. Rabbi Yehuda says b'shogeg you can eat Motzei Shabbos, right? B'mezid you can't eat ever. Now, but that second statement, amazing you can't eat ever, is only you. Anybody else can eat Motzei Shabbos. You're going to sound the holds b'shogeg. You can't eat the Motzei Shabbos, right? Now, you yourself can still not eat a Motzei Shabbos, but others can eat a Motzei Shabbos. If it's b'mezid, nobody can eat Motzei Shabbos. Not you, not anybody else. You got to discard it. Shmuel horek Rabbi Yochanan Sandler. Shmuel paskin like Rabbi Yochanan Sandler. Rav, this is brought down the Bavli as well. Rav can have a moyer b'chavrusei, when he would paskin in his chabura, meaning among his students in private, moyer Rabbi Meir used to paskin like Rabbi Meir, leniently. Betzibura, for the public, however, moyer Rabbi Yochanan Sandler would paskin like Rabbi Yochanan Sandler, was more stringent, right? Because the public, they don't know so much, we can't have to be machmir. Okay? Now, Shita we do not have the Bavli. Amr Shim Bar Karsana. Shim Bar Karsana said that in public, Rav used to paskin Rabbi Shmuel, but no Rabbi Yochanan ben Broka. Now this Shita Rabbi Shmuel, son of Rabbi Yochanan ben Broka, does not appear in the Bavli. It's not there. Here, Rabbi Rav paskin like this following Shita when he paskin in public, which is even more stringent. The son was more machmir than the father. You find that sometimes. The Tanya, Rabbi Shmuel ben Rabbi Yochanan ben Broka say, Omer kol davar shechayovim. Anytime when where you find something by Shabbos, where you chayav al shigaso chatas is dono kores. Do you have that? All right, same idea. There was something which is an Isser Shabbos, which if you did intentionally, you get kores. V'asol b'Shabbos, you did it on Shabbos. Bein b'shogeg, bein b'mezid. Whether it's shogeg, whether it's mezid, asur, it's forbidden forever. V'lo yochal, bein lo, bein lachem. It's asur for all time, forever, period. Makes no difference, shogeg or mezid. So he's even more machmir than the Tati. The Tati said that if it's b'shogeg, Motzei Shabbos, other people can eat. The son says, even if it's b'shogeg, you can never eat it, it's always awesome. As long as it's Nisr Shabbos, which is a kares. Okay? Now, here's a leniency. Ashtikla kule again. The chol davar she'en chayov me'al zdona kares. Anything which is not chayav kares if you did it you did it before Shabbos, right? So if you didn't, it's a drabbanan by mevashel. In other words, so you can't be chayav kares on it. Kol davar she'en chayav zdona kares shegosel chatas v'asab Shabbos did it on Shabbos b'shoigig yochal motzei Shabbos achem v'lo lo. There he said like his father. Now by shogig, other people can eat it, not you, but mezid lo v'lacher. So that which his father was one little kula, that b'shogig, other people can eat motzei Shabbos. The son said that certainly doesn't apply to Nisa D'Oraisa, only to Nisa D'Rabbanan. Okay? That's how Rav used to pass it in public, according to the Yerushalmi.
Does the Gemara distinguish between whether he knew that it was Shabbos but he didn't know it was Asur?
No difference. Either shogig is the same in this case. Omer Mutzer doesn't help him. That's what you're asking. It doesn't help him. Okay? Bon kumi Rabbi Yochanan. So they asked Rabbi friend Rabbi Yochanan, Mar ma Amar, nu, vos zoktir, what do you have to pass in this matter? Amar Lon, so he said, Ani ainli ela Mishnah. I don't know Chochmas. I only know Mishnayos. And the Mishnah paskins like Rabbi Meir. Our Mishnah said, I'm a vasha b'Shabbos, and you can cook on Shabbos, b'shogeg yocha. B'shogeg you can eat right away. B'mezid lo yocha. So I paskin like Rabbi Meir. L'kula. I don't have this distinction. Public, private, I paskin like the Mishnah. That's true. Right, you're right. Shama Rav Chisda v'amar. So Rav Chisda heard this and he got all upset. V'chihutru Shabbosos. What, we're going to be Matir Shabbos? Who knows? Next thing you know, they'll be carrying an Eruvin, right? V'chihutru Shabbosos. Lo chen amar v'chanina v'Ravuna v'shem Rav. Didn't the Ravuna say name Rav? The Tani Rabbi Chia came. Rabbi Chia also passed this way. But Rishono, you remember originally they used to say Hashocheach Tavshel Gabikir b'Shabbos. Let's say somebody did this in the Rabbanan of forgetting a pot on the stove on Shabbos. B'shogeg yochal. So if he did it unintentionally, he can eat it. Right? Like right here. B'mezid lo yochal. If he did it intentionally, he can't eat it. Next you do. What happened later on? People, there were suspicions aroused. There are people who show you menichin mezidin who would intentionally, they come home right before Shabbos, rush home, and they put the chulin pot on the fire right before Shabbos and say, shucks! Shochin ayinu. It's not that we left it there intentionally, we forgot. We didn't really mean to leave it there. So of course this is a blatant lie. But we're afraid that people are going to do this. Therefore, in order to prevent such treachery, we even made it also to eat when you left it b'shogeg, right? When you forgot it there. V'ata marachein. So how can you say that we're matir shogeg? You pastor maybe did an issa b'shogeg, even at the Raisa. We'll let you get away with it. B'shogeg you can eat even on Shabbos itself. How can you say such a thing? It says here that even by Rabbanan we're machmir. If somebody unintentionally put a pot on right before Shabbos, so we don't let him eat it at Shabbos. So how can you say what you said? Rabbi Hula said, no, it's not a kasha. You know what Rabbi Yochanan's going to answer? Next to Lios Menichim. Jews, Nebuch, the Rabbanans, they're choshet to be over, right? They'll put on a pot right before Shabbos and say, oh, we forgot, we didn't do it intentionally. But Baruch Hashem, lo nechshetu lios mivashlein. We're not chayshish that a Jew is going to go intentionally and cook on Shabbos. Akadei kach, no Jew would do. So therefore, where do we make the knas and asra even if he did a b'shogeg? Only by the Rabbana putting on right before Shabbos. But the Raisa putting on Shabbos itself, there we didn't find shogeg. Okay? They find you when you put it on right before Shabbos. They didn't find you when you put it on Shabbos itself because you woke up to do it intentionally. Okay? This is continuation of the Brisa. Okay? We just finished Rabbi Hila's statement. Now going back to the Brisa. They made a distinction. When we find the guy who was meniach right before Shabbos, even if he did b'shogeg, we draw a distinction. If it's a type of cooked dish, when the more it stays on the pot, the better it gets. The more it stays on the fire, the better it gets. Like cholent. So it literally means when it contracts, it gets better. Osir. In that case, they said, mitztamik v'yafelo, you put it on, whether intentionally or unintentionally, right before Shabbos, forget it. You can't eat it on Shabbos. But mitztamik v'ralo, if it gets worse as leave it on the fire, so then we allow it. Now that we allow it, if you did it b'diavad, but he brings down, you're even allowed to leave the chatchila there. Right before Shabbos, you can put on the fire something which is going to get worse and worse and worse as it continues on. Because that's counterproductive, so therefore not afraid that if you do that, we allow you to, we're not afraid that if we allow you to do that, you might come to cook on Shabbos. The whole thing is a gather that you shouldn't come to cook on Shabbos. So you're not going to come from doing this to cooking on Shabbos. Okay? We don't pass this way halacha l'maisa. We pass on halacha l'maisa, by the way, in order to leave something on a pot, on Shabbos, on the fire, that has to be mavushal called tzarka before Shabbos. Generally speaking, unless it's completely raw, there are a couple of other terms. Generally speaking, it has to be mavushal called tzarka in order to leave it on for the next day. Okay, the Rambam brings down this dichotomy between mitztamik v'ralo, mitztamik v'yafalo, but we hold it has to be edible before Shabbos in order to be able to leave it on the fire. Okay? Machal ben Jusoy, yeah, called third, more than a third cook. Okay, more than a machal ben Jusoy. Okay? Says the Gemara, Ezu tavshushu mitztamik v'yafalo, but according to this Gemara, what is a tavshushu mitztamik v'yafalo? When more it stays on the fire, it gets better. Kruv, cabbage, afunim, peas or lentils, ubasa torf, and stew meat. Stew meat, not whole piece of meat. True, I know. Not whole piece of meat, because whole piece of meat they'll get smaller, and that's not nice. You don't want to have small piece of meat to serve your guests. But if it's small to begin with, in other words, you put stew meat on the fire, so that's okay. The more it cooks, it's better because it's already small to begin with, right? So too the roots of turnips, roshi kaflutos, and roots of leeks. Also, some ketavshu they define them as being stuff which gets better the more it's left on the fire. Bates in mind, what's the status of eggs? Rabbi Yossi b'shem Rabbi Shmuel Rabbi Yossi, and Rabbi Yirmi and Rabbi Chanina b'shem Rabbi Shmuel Rabbi Yossi said, Ola Abel Beisa. Once Rabbi Shmuel Rabbi Yossi came home and said, Rabbi Shmuel said that once his father Rabbi Yossi came home, Umatzar Sham, and he found that on Shabbos they had left on the oven two things: beitzim, eggs, v'osar, and he forbade them from using them because it's what? It's damek v'yafelo. Chamin, he found they left hot water on the stove to heat it, because the hot water is mitztamik viralo. Why? Because it evaporates, more boils away, right? Rav Chanina said, "Ani va'aba alinu l'chamas goder." We once went up to chamas goder. They brought us eggs which had been cooked so long they contracted the size of hawthorns, which is very small. The tamun, and we tasted them. Yotha kipid kibnik karzerin. They tasted great, like sweet dried fruit. They were so geschmack. I don't like to try this because eggs generally don't taste that good. But in any event,
I think it's shult eggs.
yeah, but they don't taste that good. I've had them. I don't like the shult eggs.
Did they taste it on Shabbos, or they waited till after?
No, it doesn't say. It could have been on a weekday. It's not clear here. Okay, Tanya, we learned lo tamale ishos kidera asasios v'turmusin. Woman should not fill her pot. There's a special there. Women should not fill a pot full of asasios. We don't know what that is. And turmusin, we know are lupins, but we don't know what lupins is, so that doesn't help us either. But these are vegetables which have to cook and cook and cook, and even if you cook them for 24 hours, they're still not going to be done because they need to cook forever. And therefore, we're afraid that you might, in order to hasten the process, start mixing them on the fire on Shabbos. So therefore, there's no circumstance in which these are allowed to remain on the fire. Associate to Musim, a woman should not fill a pot full of associate to Musim, the tidem b'toch tanur erev Shabbos chashecha, and put them into the pot erev Shabbos right before nightfall. If she did, asul motzoi Shabbos ch'chtei shiasu. They're also motzoi Shabbos until enough time elapses that you could have made them beginning on motzoi Shabbos. This is a general principle, by the way. Whenever we say in our previous cases, sois motzoi also to motzoi Shabbos, it's not just also to our motzoi Shabbos until we make Abdullah, but until enough time has elapsed for them to have done the Amlocha Motzei Shabbos. I remember my first year in Shalvim, I gave a chabura on the topic of the first halacha chabura. We had halacha chaburas. I gave my chabura on the topic, brought down Tzitz Eliezer. What happens if an Egged bus drivers, they used to leave, they couldn't drive on Shabbos routes, but they used to leave on Shabbos to position themselves for the routes Motzoi Shabbos. So you have to wait. B'chtei shiasu. You can't take the first bus after Shabbos. You have to wait till enough time has elapsed for them to get to there after Shabbos has elapsed. Okay?
That they do the whole route, or from where they start to where they come?
From where they start to where to get in. In other words, from the time it takes to get from the garage to the beginning of the route, they have to you have to wait that time. That's a good example. Okay? But Dunkin' Donuts that's only Motzoi Pesach. Because Motzoi Pesach we say that they're making for Jews. The rest of the year we don't think that they're making special bats for Jews. So the only time to eat B'chtei Shias is Motzoi Pesach. I don't know how long it takes B'chtei Shias of donuts, but that's the only time of year you have to be concerned about it.
Does Mashgiach have to light the oven right after Shabbos?
No, the oven's on continuously. They're 24 hours. Yeah. Okay. Rabbi Amar b'mezir krabim meir. That which we answer Motzei Shabbos b'chtei shiasu is b'mezir if you didn't intentionally, and it's like Rabbi Meir. Rabbi Yossi Amar b'shogeg, it's when you're waiting by b'shogeg, and like Rabbi Yehuda. We paskin, it's like Rabbi Meir also. Ramona says, Yehusa Rabbi Yossi said good, that's going like Rabbi Yehuda. The Tani we learned how to assure it's Rabbi Yehuda because they're a brisa. Brisa says on Oteh b'Shabbos, if you plant a tree on Shabbos, b'shogeg yikayim, if you did it unintentionally, you can leave it there. B'mezid Yaakov, if you did it intentionally, you have to uproot it. B'shvius, you planted a tree on Shemitah, ben b'shogeg, ben b'mezid Yaakov, regardless of what you did, b'shogeg, b'mezid, you have to uproot it. Rabbi Yehuda Mer Chiluf Hatzvar. It says the exact opposite. B'shvius, if you plant a tree on Shemitah, b'shogeg yikayim, if you did it unintentionally, you can leave it there. B'mezid, if you did it intentionally, Yaakov, you have to uproot it. B'Shabbos, if you did it on Shabbos, ben b'shogeg, ben b'mezid, regardless of b'shogeg or b'mezid, Yaakov, you have to uproot it. B'nei sha'anoyas Shabbos shelo olam, because he's deriving benefit from Shabbos, and that's prohibited. The Khan became a Shata Oyer, so therefore we see that even b'shogeg, Rabbi Yehuda is machmir on Hanoah's Shabbos, right? So therefore, when it says b'chtei shiyaseh, by according to Rabbi Yehuda, it's even on shogeg, right? Therefore, in order to prevent him from getting on Order for Shabbos, we tell him to wait on Motzei Shabbos until enough time has elapsed in order for them to have done the malacha by then. That deprives you of the hanor from the malacha done on Shabbos. Okay, Yud Beis Amud Beis. My time of the Rabbanan. What's the logical Rabbanan? Now we're going back on the Rabbanan in our Mishnah, who said that on Shabbos you can leave the tree, and on Shemitah you can't leave the tree. Right? If you did a b'shogeg, I think that was the difference. Did a b'shogeg, did a b'shogeg on Shabbos you can leave the tree in the ground, but Shemitah you can't leave the tree in the ground. So what's the distinction? Okay, so there are two possible distinctions the Gemara is going to give. Okay, the Tani, like we learned, Moinin Yisrael, one possible distinction is that Moinin Yisrael Shvius Reimun and Shabbosos. 4 years later, when you start eating from the tree, it was Orlo the first 3 years. 4 years later, when you start eating from it, people are going to say, 1, 2, 3, 4. He planted Shemitah. Must be one is allowed to plant during Shemitah. So therefore, people are going to come to the conclusion, they're going to think back. But of course, the person can't tell a tree was planted on Shabbos. The person's not going to come to the conclusion you can plant on Shabbos. The person's not going to realize that the tree, what day the tree was planted on. So therefore, that's not a problem. Okay? Because they're not going to, the Marisayin type prohibition of people are going to think Shemitah is mutter. Yes, maybe Shemitah, but not Shabbos. Another interpretation of why the distinction. We're afraid if we let him, if he planted one tree in Shabbos, we let him keep it, he'll come to plant again. He'll say, the rabbis let me keep it. Next time I'll do it amazing. Mistam it's mutter to keep it then too. But nobody, although Jews are suspect on Shemitah, they're not suspect on Shabbos. Every Jew knows he can't plant on Shabbos. So if he did it once b'shogi, it's not going to come to it the next time amazing. Hey Chavida, what's the difference between the two reasons, the two possible reasons? What's nafkamina? So the following cases. Not the pochas mishleish miyom v'nei shvius. Let's say a guy planted within the 30 days before Shemitah, but not at Shemitah itself. So v'nichnas shvius, and then it started grew on shvius. If you're going to say, if we let him keep this one, maybe we suspect he'll do another one be'isr, enkan chashat. He's not going to do, there's no suspicion because he didn't plant it during Shemitah, he planted before Shemitah. So we're not going to suspect it just because he planted before Shemitah. Even though it's the Rabbanan to plant within the 30 days before Shemitah, right? It isn't the Rabbanan to plant the tree then. But nonetheless, we're not afraid just because he transgressed this Issa Rabbanan, maybe he'll come to do another Issa Rabbanan. Right? Because at worst, what might he make a mistake to think? That he can plant during the 30 days of Shemitah before Shemitah. But he won't come to think that he can plant during Shemitah itself. So it would be like a gzeira to gzeira to say, well, he might come to transgress Issa Rabbanan again, so therefore you have to make him uprooted. Now, ad kedei kach we didn't go. But if you're going to say it's because 4 years later people are going to catch me back and say you planted during Shemitah, that could happen. Because people can't tell when exactly it was planted. They'll see a ripe tree right now, they'll think it was planted during Shemitah, and therefore they'll think Shemitah is milter. Not now. On another case, the opposite case, not a pachas b'shloshim yom lifnei shminis. You planted it less than 30 days before the beginning of the 8th year. In other words, in Shemitah itself. So menichnos shminis, and then it really started growing during the 8th year. If you're going to say a suspicion, if I allow him to do this, maybe he'll do next time intentionally. Yesh kan chashat. Here he planted during Shemitah itself. If I allow him to leave this one in the ground, maybe next time he'll come do it intentionally. But if you're going to say it's because of the count, ain't kan moni. People are not going to think that he planted during Shemitah because it started growing really in the 8th year. So people are going to think it was planted the 8th year, and they're not going to come to matter Shemitah retroactively. Okay? My time of the Rabbi Yehuda. What's the logic of Rabbi Yehuda that said that said you have to uproot it? Amazing. What did Rabbi Yehuda say? Let me just check. I forgot. You don't have my time with Rabbi Yehuda? You have Asya, right? Vasa command Omar, right? Okay, it's Vasa command. I just have a header here. I mean, it's not a header, but an additional. Rabbi Yehuda said previously. Rabbi Yehuda said previously that where it said Chiluf Hazvarim. Where is that?
They make the bracha al hamila now. Why? Because the child out was just
on the bottom of Yud Beis Amud Aleph. Are you 3 lines to the bottom? Right? Okay? So he said by Shvius b'shogeg yekayim b'mezid yakor. So why draw a distinction? Rabbanan said in Shemitah whether it's shogeg or mezid, the God uprooted, it makes no difference, right? Whether maybe either because of chashad or because we might come to do it intentionally, or because of moaning, because people might come back and say it was planted during Shemitah. But Rabbi Yehuda does draw a distinction between shogeg and mezid. Why? So it says more of a asya Kimandomar mipnei. Now here he changes the girsa. He says v'asa Kimandomar. Oh, you have the right girsa. No, you don't have the right. He changes the girsa. V'asa Kimandomar mipnei hachashad. Some of the Ridbaz changes the girsa. Yeah, he does. The Ridbaz changes the girsa, and so does Kavanaki. V'asa Kimandomar mipnei hachashad. Because of suspicion. So Rabbi Yehuda says, when am I suspicious that he might come and do it again? If he did it for Mazid once, he'll do it for Mazid again. So I find him. If he did it for Mazid, you have to uprooted, right? Because you're going to continuously be transgress Shemitah. But by Shogi, I'm not afraid you're going to do it again intentionally. But if you're going to go according to the opinion that other people are going to see and count backwards, so Konsu Shogi the Moses, there's no reason to distinguish between Shogi and Mason. If you're going to be Konis one, you got to be Konis the other, because we're not concerned with what he's going to do, but how other people are going to perceive. In that case, we can't draw any distinctions. Okay, I think we'll stop here for this evening.